I shouldn't even be telling you this, but if you're watching, if you're listening, then maybe it's already too late for you. I was driving alone that night. The highway stretched out before me like an endless black ribbon. My headlights cut into the fog, but the light never seemed to reach far. The road just kept going. No towns, no exits, no signs of life. Just me in the silence. At first, I thought it was peaceful. A lonely drive through the countryside. Nothing unusual. But then I noticed something. A road sign up ahead. A curve warning. The little arrow twisting to the right. I slowed down, made the turn, and thought nothing of it. But a few minutes later, there it was again. The same sign, the same curve, same angle, same distance. I laughed nervously, telling myself it was just coincidence. But then I saw it a third time, and a fourth. That's when the unease started crawling up my spine. I checked the clock on the dashboard. It read 2:13 a.m. I remembered glancing at it earlier, back when I first hit that sign. It had read 2:13 then too. I tapped the glass, smacked the dashboard, but the numbers didn't move. The car kept humming, but time wasn't moving. My hands were tight on the steering wheel now, my knuckles pale in the dim glow of the dashboard lights. The air smelled strange too, like metal. Not gasoline, not oil, just iron. I told myself to breathe. Maybe I was tired, maybe I needed coffee, a break, something. But when I looked in the rearview mirror, that's when I froze. Someone was sitting in the back seat. I didn't see them clearly, just a dark outline, a suggestion of a head, shoulders too sharp, too narrow. My heart jumped into my throat. I whipped my head around. Empty. The back seat was empty. When I looked back at the mirror, it was gone. But then, so was the road. The lines on the asphalt faded into the darkness. No markings, no signs, just a black surface stretching on forever. I gripped the wheel tighter, fighting the urge to slam the brakes. Somehow, I knew that stopping wasn't an option. The radio crackled. I hadn't even turned it on. At first, it was just static, soft whispers behind the noise. Then, clear as a voice sitting next to me, I heard it. It said my name. I don't remember turning the dial. I don't remember breathing, but I know what I heard. A deep, rasping whisper that dragged my name out like it had been waiting. And when I looked in the mirror again, I saw them. Eyes. Two burning, yellow eyes staring at me through the reflection. And they didn't blink. I don't know how long I stared into that mirror. Those eyes, they weren't human. They were sharp, glowing like embers pulled straight out of a dying fire. And the longer I looked, the more I felt them staring through me, not at me, like they were searching my thoughts, pulling something out. I forced my gaze back to the road. My chest was heaving, sweat dripping down my temples even though the car heater was off. I tried to focus, to tell myself it wasn't real, just fatigue, just the dark playing tricks. But then I noticed something that made my stomach drop. The signs. Those same twisted arrow signs were lining the road again, one after another, too close together. They shouldn't have been there, not in that sequence, not at that rhythm. Every time my headlights caught one, I braced myself, knowing the next was coming. And still, I couldn't escape them. I rolled down the window, desperate for fresh air, for proof the world outside was real. But the air that rushed in wasn't cold. It was hot, heavy, carrying that same metallic taste, stronger now, as if I was driving through the inside of a furnace. My throat tightened with each breath. I gripped the wheel and pressed harder on the gas. The engine roared. The speedometer needle climbed. 70, 80, 90. My car should have been flying, but the road around me didn't change. The signs kept repeating. The curves kept bending. And the clock? Still frozen at 2:13 a.m. That's when I made the mistake of looking back at the mirror again. This time, the figure wasn't just sitting in the back seat. It was leaning forward. Its face hovered just inches behind mine, pale and hollow, skin stretched too tight, lips cracked and bleeding. The eyes, God, those eyes, glowing like they were alive with something that shouldn't exist. I screamed and swerved, nearly sending the car into the ditch, but when I turned, the seat behind me was still empty. I was shaking so badly I could barely keep the car straight. The radio hissed again, the same whispering static, but this time, the voice wasn't alone. It was layered, dozens of voices speaking over each other, all saying the same thing. Keep driving, over and over, louder and louder, until the sound filled the car, vibrating through the frame, crawling into my skull. I tried to rip the radio knob off, but the voices didn't stop. They weren't in the speakers anymore. They were inside me. And then, in a moment of pure desperation, I slammed both hands against the steering wheel and shouted, "Where does this road end?" The voices stopped. The silence was worse, because in that silence, I heard something else. Breathing, not mine. And it was coming from the back seat. I didn't want to look. Every instinct screamed at me to keep my eyes on the road, to just keep driving. But the sound of that breathing, wet, slow, deliberate, made my skin crawl. It was too close, too real. My hands trembled on the steering wheel. I forced my eyes toward the mirror. He was there. Not a reflection, not a trick. A man, if you could call him that, sat in the back seat. His skin looked like burned leather, cracked and peeling, and his jaw hung loose as though it had been broken and never healed. His eyes glowed with that same ember light, locking onto mine. "Keep driving," he whispered. This time it wasn't the radio. It was his voice, low and guttural, vibrating the air inside the car. I gasped and slammed the brakes. Tires screeched, smoke poured from the rubber, but the car didn't stop. The speedometer stayed frozen at 65, the road stretching endlessly ahead. The rules of reality were gone. I turned, screaming, "What do you want from me?" His lips curled into something that might have been a smile or a sneer. "Road ends when you do." My blood ran cold. I twisted back to the windshield, and there it was, something ahead, rising out of the black horizon, a shape darker than the night itself. At first I thought it was a tunnel, but no, it was a void, a hole in the world, jagged and pulsing with faint red veins. It swallowed the road completely. I tried to steer away, but the wheel fought me, jerking back into place. My own car wasn't mine anymore. The figure in the back leaned closer. I could feel the heat of his breath on my neck. "Almost there," he whispered. The radio hissed alive again. The voices returned, all of them chanting in unison, louder and louder. My vision blurred, my ears rang. The smell of burning filled my lungs. I shut my eyes. For a moment, I thought I could fight it. If I didn't look, maybe it wouldn't be real. But when I opened them, I wasn't on the road anymore. I was standing in the middle of the void, my car gone, the world gone. Only blackness, stretching forever. Behind me, I could still hear the hum of an engine, faint, distant, like it belonged to someone else now. And in front of me, signs. Those same twisted arrow signs, planted in the nothingness, glowing faintly red. They stretched out in a line, leading deeper into the dark. The figure appeared beside me, towering now, his ember eyes burning brighter than ever. "This road never ends," he said, his voice breaking into a dozen overlapping tones. "Not until you belong to it." And then I realized I wasn't breathing anymore.
Subscribe to Horror Story Bar.